The girl climbed the ladder with fear on her face. She wanted to flee the scary man behind her, but she was pulled down by the man. The man was old Wang, back in town. But at 40, he has accomplished nothing. He has no job, no savings, and no wife. He's just a lazy man with a weary face. And he is quite lecherous. He often sneaks peeks at girls in revealing outfits. Old Wang, who can't get by outside. He chose to go home to find work, but most in his town barely remember him. It turned out Old Wang had been abandoned by his family as a child. Now, his parents were no longer alive. Even the house was in disrepair. He first rented a cheap house at the dock. Then he went to buy some essentials. He struggled home with a blanket in tow. The girl on the bike crashed into him. The girl's name was Little Jing. Her skin was smooth, her form light. The only flaw was that she had a mark on her left cheek, a green birthmark, half the size of a hand. Even though she had some imperfections, but Little Jing was always upbeat. She was full of hope for life. She always wore a cheerful face towards life. But Xiao Zhu's has a birthmark. She faces repeated setbacks in love. Old Wang often buys food at Xiao Zhu's workplace. One day, Xiao Zhu rode home. She saw Old Wang sunbathing by the dock. Old Wang always looked disheveled and downcast. Xiao Zhu went over to give him advice. No one had ever cared for Old Wang like that. Looking at the girl smiling at him, Old Wang pulled her in and kissed her. Xiao Zhu tried to fight back but was overpowered. Fortunately, a bystander saw Xiao Zhu's bicycle. He rescued Xiao Zhu from Old Wang's grasp. The kind woman warned her she needed to stay away from lazy men like Old Wang. In his heart, Old Wang knew he had offended Xiao Zhu, so he waited at the fast food place. He kneeled before Xiao Zhu to apologize. He invited her to dinner at a nice restaurant. After a few glasses of wine, Old Wang took her back to her home. Old Wang, drunk, used sheer force. He took advantage of Xiao Zhu for a long time. Xiao Zhu realized the apology was a lie. The true aim was to bully her, but the truth that had happened couldn't be changed. She had no choice but to leave while Old Wang was still asleep. The girl lay motionless on the bed. The man's hand slowly moved up her thigh. Old Wang's first attempt to bully Little Jing failed. Later, he got Little Jing drunk under an excuse and seized the chance to bully her. However, when he woke up, he found out that Little Jing had taken all his money, assuming he was about to confront Little Jing. Unexpectedly, Little Jing came to see him. She not only said she forgave him, but also referred him for a job. Old Wang didn't hide his terrible past. To his surprise, the boss chose to hire him. Old Wang thought he was just lucky. He had no idea it was all Little Jing's doing. After all, Little Jing had been involved with the boss. Little Jing's care made Old Wang fall for her uncontrollably. However, Old Wang expressed his feelings in a very blunt way. But Little Jing clearly desired a romance. She despised intimacy without feelings, yet she longed for Old Wang to truly provide her with a home. One day, Little Jing rushed excitedly to Old Wang to tell him she was pregnant. Old Wang was quite excited, but not out of happiness. He expressed in shock that he didn't expect this child at all. He was just messing around with Little Jing. Little Jing didn't know about Old Wang's past. She burst into tears out of anger. She ran to the docks, going mad. At that moment, misfortune struck again. Little Jing's mother and her boyfriend Baldy both passed away in a traffic accident. At the funeral, Little Jing showed no sadness because she always disagreed with her mom dating Baldy. From then on, she was all alone in the house. She was eager for the baby inside her. Heavy rain poured down. Heartbroken and alone, Little Jing suddenly heard a noise at the door. It was Old Wang, crying under his umbrella. Old Wang finally revealed his true feelings. He believed that having the child, it might just start the misfortune, just like his tragic fate. Little Jing couldn't bring herself to force him away. The next day, she saw him off to work. Little did she know, Delay, who had helped her before, came to chat. Every word was laced with disdain for Old Wang. Unbeknownst to them, Old Wang returned just then. He hid at the door, eavesdropping. He felt very unwilling. He stormed off to confront Delay, forcing Dot to become his lover. The man roughly tore off her triangle. Then he forcibly possessed his aunt. Soon Little Jing was about to give birth. Old Wang was finally set to be a dad. He went one last time to honor his parents. He told them he was no longer alone. In the hospital, Little Jing was in great pain, sweating. In the end, she gave birth to the child safely. Old Wang held the child, overwhelmed with excitement. Except Little Jing's the saddest woman ever. She married that jerk and had a kid. But Little Jing doesn't take his nonsense to heart. Since she now has a husband and a child, she's living the life she dreamed. Even Old Wang thinks so. He often sits by the sea, sunning with the child, and his mistress Anne has been discreet. She never causes any trouble. Old Wang's life is quite pleasant. Little does he know a storm is coming. A male colleague of Old Wang hanged himself at the factory. He found out his wife was cheating with the boss. Soon after, Wang jumped into the sea to escape. The factory then stopped production. Once again, Old Wang was unemployed. He raided the factory manager's wife like a thief. Little Jing isn't innocent either. She has a lover on the side behind Old Wang's back. Suddenly, Little Jing's child is 10. The child is quite disdainful. Wang feels very depressed. Under the influence of alcohol, he hit the child. He went to Anne to share his troubles. Their blood connection made Wang swallow his pride. He bought a gift to apologize to the child. But the child was very frightened when seeing him. Mr. Wang, who kept failing with the child, eagerly sought comfort from little Jing. But little Jing refused to say, "I love you," no matter what. She had no choice but to say those words. The kid in the room heard everything. He asked little Jing why she lied. He also resented why little Jing had him. He resented that his father was Mr. Wang. Space is tight.